Hey everyone, it's me Jess over here, the owner of Gigis Custom Dips. I'm going to just do a quick little dip mani with you today to quickly explain to some of my customers or potential customers how easy this can be. So I'm actually dipping over top of jelly tips, which just have a gel color painted over top. So today we're using Blissful, which is a thermal, and Peony for Your Thoughts, which is a foil dip. So I'm just going in with my dip base on my pinky, and you just dip quickly into the powder and tap, tap, tap off the excess. And then a very important part is to use this little precision tool we have to quickly clean up your cuticles after each dip. So as you can see here, I'm applying a thin layer of base, and then I'm dipping gently into the powder. And the foil's a bit trickier. You have to really press down on it after to get it to kind of stick into the base there. But again, I just go around with my precision tool and I clean up the edges and I make everything smooth. And then I go into my next finger. So I really cover the whole nail. Everybody does do their dipping differently, but I like to cover the whole nail. I find for me, because I'm going over top of jelly tips, I usually only do 2 dips. I do actually do 3 in this mani, but usually it's only 2. So again, pressing down the foils and just trying to get them to stick into the dip base. And then going back in for solid again. So some things I like to do is just slow and steady when you're applying the dip base. You don't want to go too quick or let the base run all into your cuticles. That will create a mess. But if you do, you can always use your little cuticle cleanup tool to scrape it out of there. And I do find our bases fairly forgiving. You can kind of remove it before it dries up on you quickly. So that's always good. So I just go slowly in to make sure that I don't get it all over my skin, and I apply it evenly so I get a nice even dip when I put my finger into the powder. And yeah, so after you do your first dip, you go in with your brush and you brush off all the excess. With foils, this can be a little bit messy, so be careful. And pretty soon we're going to get started on our second round of dipping. Speaking of messy, I can see I got a little foil in my dip there. I'm going to have to get that little guy out somehow. So here I go in for my second coat, just evenly applying, and then I quickly dip my finger in on an angle into the powder, and it really just comes out seamlessly most times. There's not very often where it's clumpy or lumpy. For the most part, you don't need to do much filing or buffing with our powders and liquids. It's fairly easy, I would say. A little bit of a learning curve if you don't do your own nails currently, but definitely not hard. Going in here for a second coat on my foil nails. These, I like to do 2 dips, if not sometimes 3, just for full coverage. I mean, they are super packed with foil, so that's usually not hard to achieve. But because I had a gel polish color underneath already, I could see that color peeking through, and I really didn't want that. So I went in with an extra layer just to really get full coverage. So a great way to get the foils to the top of the jar is just tap on the side, and it brings them all to the top so you can get a super good coverage when you dip in with your finger. So I'm just going around cleaning up the cuticles, and then I tap with my finger to press all the foils down into the base. That really helps make it smooth, and don't be afraid to press. Some people, they don't want to touch it after they're dipping. I am always getting up in there. I probably get up in there maybe a little too much. I just find using my fingers helps me, so that's what I do. I mean, it's always what works for you, right? There's not really any rules, to follow with the liquids there is, but I mean, when it comes to application, if you find something works better for you than what I'm doing here, that is totally okay, because just like in life, everybody does everything differently, and some strokes for some folks, and that's okay. So I'm not sure if you can see the color change. This one, Blissful, is a very soft color change. Sorry, I can't think of the word that I'm looking for here. Subtle. That's it. Subtle color change. It goes from, you can kind of see it at the tip there, a little hair. Oop, gotta get that. A little bit of a light pink when it's warm to a bit of a darker reddish pink when it's cool. So this is like a great thermal for beginners. If you don't really know if you like thermals yet, this one is fun because it's not super drastic. I don't know. Some of the drastic thermals are not for me. I don't love how half the finger is one way and half the finger is the other. It drives me a bit bananas, but I love seeing all the color changes. So these thermals were super fun for me because I felt like it's like a baby thermal. It's not fully there, but it's not fully not there either, which is fun. So anywho, if you haven't checked out thermal changing powders yet, you must, because it's fun and you're always looking at your fingers to see what they're doing next. Fun fact, this is actually my first dip mani since I had my twins. I hate to admit that, but it was definitely crazy after having them, just very busy. I have 2 other kids as well, so finding the time to get my nails done was a little bit tricky. And also I had a incident with numb hands throughout my whole pregnancy, so nearing the end I just really couldn't even feel most of my extremities, which was great. So the feeling hasn't fully returned. I'm doing physio for that and trying to get it better, but it's not fully back, so that was also holding me back. Filing without feeling is not a fun thing to do, so I'm super happy to be back and dipping my nails again. I miss them, and I can't wait to share manis with you guys now. So be easy on me. This is my first voiceover and my first YouTube video. So, yeah, hopefully you didn't come here expecting something crazy professional, because this is what you're getting. Anyways, I did decide to go in with a third coat for this mani. I think only on the ring and middle fingers for the foils, because I was still seeing that other color underneath peeking through, and I really just wanted to see the true color of this dip only, and not that rose metallic cat eye color peeking through I have underneath. So yeah, again, just showing up close how I do the patting and making sure that the foils are all laying super flat, and it just makes for a very easy mani. You don't have to do much filing and shaping at the end. As you can see, the powders just lay very smooth. So yeah, that is amazing, and actually it just makes the process so fun, because you can really just get in there and you feel like you're really freaking good at this. I don't know about you, but I get very discouraged if I am not immediately really good at something. So the very first time I dipped my nails, it was a touch of a disaster. I used a salon version. I'm also a hairdresser, so I saw in my beauty builder a dip nail kit, and I was like, hey, I want to try this and not pay $100 to get my nails done. And I did one nail, and it was horrible. It was lumpy and clumpy and not good. And I was like, yep, this is why professionals do it. So once I started trying other DIY brands that had put a little bit more effort into what they wanted in their products, I realized it actually was not a hard thing to do. And that excited me, and that's why I opened this little business, because I think dipping is just so therapeutic. It's so fun to do your own nails. I don't think that I could actually go get my nails done anymore. I would be too picky. I like the way that I do it, and it's just, yeah, something for me to look forward to. So this is my activator. I'm going to go into every nail, and I'm a bit of a cheater. Most people would top this with clear dip powder, so go in with another coat of just plain old clear dip for a process that's called encapsulation, and you essentially just put 1 or 2 dips of clear on top. You just have to make sure that you brush the excess powder off really well, or you will get a bit of a grainy texture, and I'm personally just too impatient for that. I'm lucky to have enough time to get this bit of my nails done. So yeah, I skip that and I just go straight in with my activator. Sometimes some foils can bleed without the clear encapsulation, which is why this is generally a no-no. But again, like I said, you can kind of do whatever you want as long as it works for you. That's the joys of DIY. So yeah, there it is. After I activate, my activator works super quickly. It hardens super fast. So now you're going to see me flip over to filing. Like I said, you don't really need to do much filing or shaping really after. I find when you're using the jelly tips, it can get a little bit bulkier, especially since I did 3 dips. So I like to just kind of crisp up my edges again, make sure they're nice and sharp, and then blend in the sidewalls and the cuticle area to the rest of the nail, and just make sure everything's smooth so you're not getting any hair snags or anything like that happening. I like to go in with my usually 180 grit. I know that's a little strong for some, but that is my absolute favorite grit, and you will see that most of my files, I think all of my files are actually, 100, 180. So on one side, 100 grit, on the other side, 180 grit. And yeah, I just find the 180 super quick. Again, timing for me is everything. So again, here you can see me going in and just kind of crisping up the edges. I find with these nails where I did 3 dips, they're a little bulkier. So I'm just going to try to slim them down a little bit. And as you can see, I'm not worried about filing into my foils. I find they're very forgiving, and you can kind of just really file and shape without any issues. It won't change the look at the end. I know it looks scary as you're doing it, but no, you're not ruining all that hard work you just did. You're just making sure it's perfect for your end result, because if you don't get around your cuticle areas, you will regret it. All you need to do is miss it once and you'll understand why. For me, the cuticle area is the most important part, because it drives me absolutely bananas if my hair gets caught. That is not fun. So even with my jelly tips, it was like life or death to find ones with a snag-free cuticle area that you can really get seamlessly to blend into your nails, and when done properly, it's amazing results. So once you're done all of your shaping, you dust off your nails super well. As you saw, I could really use a little better dusting session, but anyways, quickly in with my activator on every nail again, because as you know, our liquids work together. It's a chemical reaction. So the activator actually hardens the base and the top coat. So the first layer of activator is to harden all the base that we did all the dipping with before we file. And then the second layer of activator is to harden the top coat. And this is where it's a little finicky. So right after you activate, you go right in with your top coat. So I do 2 fairly quick strokes, and try not to linger too long, because if your brush touches the activator for too long, it can harden your brush potentially. It's called contamination, and it's a pain in the buns. But honestly, ours do not contaminate easily. I find you can linger a little bit. You don't want to go crazy, but I do not, as you can see, go too quickly. So yeah, I go in with that, and then I wait usually until I see just a crinkly effect. So I'm trying to get up close for you to see there that it has crinkled a little bit. So then I go right back in with a generous amount of top coat, because I like my nails shiny, and this shine can last for weeks if you use enough, which is very important. So I make sure I've got a good amount on my brush, and I'm spreading it all over. Again, most people, they will kind of wipe their brush off in between each dip. That is just to be safe and make sure that your brush doesn't get contaminated. I'm lazy, just to be honest with you. I am not going to do that when it comes to my nails. I need to be quick. I need to be efficient. I don't find I get contamination. So for me, I skip that step. Just want to note that the top coat does take about a minute to dry. Sometimes a touch longer, depending on how quick you are. But within a minute and a half, your nails will be fully dry. That was super important to me. I hate waiting. So there it is, my finished dip manicure. I love that I did this all by myself. It's so fun. I'm constantly looking at my nails, and it's very rewarding.